opportunity, because what it costs for qualification in South Africa versus what it costs the same qualification in Europe, in Australia, and in the US is 3 to 4 times more.
Right.
So from an economic sense,
Yeah.
it's a sound business.
Yeah.
I'd come here and get an internationally recognized qualification. Do it much easier, you know, with less of all the other stuff that goes along with it. And we haven't worked at economics and opportunity. And again, it's one of those things where you say, it's there, it's clear. Why aren't we jumping on this thing?
Yes.
Then we are terrible. Then we get the foreigners in here, and because we are victims of apartheid, and we're always told we were raised, you know, look at Africa. Africa's a basket case. You know, we're better than that. We're sitting on your neck and you're living in the township, but we're still better off than the rest of Africa, right? So there is a prejudice that we harbor within ourselves towards the rest of Africa as lesser, as not attractive, as not, you know, better. There's a hatred that comes, there's ugliness that comes with that part. And that's why we had at some point what was called xenophobic attacks here. But I mean, you know, where things were going wrong, people in the townships were killing foreigners, blaming them for their misery, as if they're taking their job. Oh, the American story, you know, the Mexicans coming to the US and taking their jobs from you. You know, that story. You know that one? Yeah, we got that thing here. But us ugly, we kill people here, we burn them in the middle of the street, you know, hack them, you know. And it comes from that ugly place, you know, from who we are and where we come from. But I haven't seen sort of us realizing this is an incredibly powerful opportunity. Not just for ourselves and the benefits, the direct material benefits this would have for. You know, most Africans are, let's say from West Africa, are highly trained, highly skilled. They could come and hold hands with us and help us get our stuff right.
Yeah.
It's cold comfort for their home countries, but they'll be losing that skill level, the skill base. But it'll be good for us. And maybe we can then grow in such a way that we then reinvest that back in the benefits
in
back
exchange.
in exchange. Our students would much rather do a master's thesis studying the use of the comma in Shakespearean plays. Now, don't knock this. They actually, Shakespeare used commas very differently than the common person. In fact, there's some producer who tried to mess with that, and the performances were falling flat on each other. So there was a sense. So there's something there.
Right.
I say to them, folks, we just changed the curriculum in schools. We took out the Western canon. So Shakespeare is out of high school literature. So I said, now, if you like Shakespeare, you can still work with him. Why don't you look and tell us, study, what are the effects, what are the impact of this change we've made? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Do we do right? Do we do wrong? You're still following Shakespeare.
Yeah.
You're still doing Shakespeare, but your focus and the outcomes of your focus is to deepen our understanding of something that's real, that could cripple us or that could actually liberate us. We don't know. No, can't do that. So we look that way to the continent and to ourselves and what we have to offer to bring to the table. And we're still very Western and Eurocentric focused in terms of what is, what's not. And so we have an exchange program. I host international exchange students. In fact, I'm speaking to them tomorrow at 5. The code is coming this semester. And yeah, we've got one from the University of Delaware, for instance. We've got a few from America, but the majority from Europe. We get every now and again some from Africa, Australia, Singapore, you know, China, all the place, Mexico. We had a few from there. It's economics to them. They come here because they can afford to. Yeah? It's cheap, and they come here, and we call them education tourists. They come here for the whole semester, and they do some of this fantastic stuff. They go all over the place, and they got stories to tell about being here. You know? Marvelous. These are exchange programs. We can't afford to send our students, because when we send our rand across the border, it becomes change. And so it becomes difficult. So you got that kind of. So I'm saying, fine. Well, make us attractive. Let them come. Let them bring the pounds and the dollars and the, you know.
The yen.
Yeah. Let them bring them here. Because our rand is a bit, dancing. But we haven't quite kicked in. We're not doing badly, and that's the other problem. We're not doing badly relative compared to the rest of the continent. But that's the level we should be playing at. We should be playing at a higher level because we've got the ability and the potential and the opportunity. But we're not.
Okay.
We're not. Yeah. You have a city like Boston that invests in making the city a university city, higher education establishment. I mean, that's their biggest sort of trade, right? And the city invests in this sector because the returns are enormous for the city, right? And we talk to our folks here, but they say, no, we've got houses to build for people who are going to be toying for houses, so, so our priorities are a bit shifted. I mean, this city, Pretoria, second to Washington DC, we've got the second largest number of embassies in our capital to Washington DC. Not even London has that, not even Paris has that. Right? We've got that. What are we doing with it?
Yeah.
Now, Washington DC is a cosmopolitan city because of that. They're using it. We're asleep. We've got gold in our backyard. We're fast asleep. Fast asleep. We keep saying, people, what's wrong with you? Oh, don't let me go down that road. Then I was worried.